Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Federico Gomez. I am an instructional consultant with the Teaching and Learning Center here at UTHSC. And today we start our second season of AI in Fedi. So quickly, for those of you who may join us for the first time, it's a series of short practical workshops that basically try to explore what some of these tools that are coming out connected to Gen AI and LLMs are and can do for us when it comes to teaching and learning. Um, Today, we will be working specifically with NotebookLM. This is not our first time with it. This is kind of like the third time that we need to bring it up. And the reason is because it's a tool that keeps evolving and keeps providing a lot of opportunities to people that work on teaching and learning to do more and do different. So I'll kind of like clarify that through my short presentation in the beginning. But our goal today is actually specifically think about NotebookLM as a content generation tool. So it can be used in many ways. It can be used as a research assistant. It can be used as a study assistant. But we are going to today think about it as a content generation. So we'll see how that works in a minute. We're also going to see what the studio, which is the part of NotebookLM that helps you generate different type of items, uh, has come to be today. And then we will use some quick tips for how to use it better into your teaching, basically. Um, for NotebookLM, and this is kind of like reintroducing it. So quickly, NotebookLM is a tool that is self-described as a tool for, research as your research assistant, but today it's being dubbed research assistant, study assistant. It's being also a teaching assistant. How I see it is definitely a teaching assistant. It's a tool by Google. It requires a Google account, which can be created for free with any email account. Um, and basically, when you create that Google account, if you have a edu address, it can have from time to time like an open get 1 year of the Plus or Pro version of Google. I recommend that if you haven't done that, you check if it's active right now, and if it is, get it because it's going to give you access to a lot of tools that are in use right now and very evolving as we speak, and with a lot of uses that I find very useful for teaching and learning. But what we are going to be doing today is look into how can we design those study aids tailored reports, which are much more than 3-4 months ago when we talk about these tools for the first time. What other kind of content can be generated with the tool, and see how we can actually add that to our courses or our teaching. For the uses today, we're going to be talking about the studio, and I will show you because we're going to go into NotebookLM in a minute, and I will show you how this looks like if you haven't never seen it, and I will remind you if you may have used it a little bit ago. But this is what the studio tools are right now, the studio features, and this is what those features allow us to do. When you see them at a glance, you're going to see all these, like pen shape icon. That indicates that you can customize the item. So it's going to give you options. You can introduce prompts. The reports should have a pen, but they don't have it. But basically, we'll open to a number of reports. We'll see that. So you also can customize that element. The only one that you cannot customize is the mind map. It will generate the mind map with the sources that you tell it to generate. So all these other things are now available. They are not all available on the free version, but against my policy, I am bringing you today some tools that are not on the free version yet, because many times the tools that have been available on the paid version of NotebookLM or Google One, which is the system that includes a lot of other Google tools, have eventually made it into some form of the free version. For right now, the only two that are not yet on that free version are the infographic and the slide deck. they are flashy, they are interesting, they are great, and like I need to actually bring it to you because it's definitely part of content creation that it was not available to many of us that may not either had the skills or the time to actually generate that kind of content, or it takes us time to generate a lot of things that are useful from that point of view. So you will get this table with all this information on a toolkit at the end of the session. So don't worry if I'm moving too fast through these slides, it's because you already have this kind of information at the end. But we're gonna address all of these elements. I just want you to know that content creation wise, most of these elements can be exported. So you can actually export it and then add it to another system. All of them are shareable. You can share your notebook and then students could access or other people could access what's on your notebook at any given time. All these elements are highly customizable right now. We will go through that. And I added a column for, does this element allow scaffolding? This just means, is it giving you options to do easier or fewer and then more or more difficult? And most of them have levels to do that. And we will see that in a second. So with that said, sample uses of each one of these are just sample uses. Some of you may think about, I could do more or different with this feature and then put it out. So instead of a podcast, you could have, a narrated part to one of your lessons or a narrated analysis of one of your sources, and that would be part of the audio review uses as well. We are going to go into demo mode very fast today. So I'm gonna change what I'm sharing, and I'm gonna go into my NotebookLM page for today. So hopefully you all can see a NotebookLM page implementation here. And this is how NotebookLM looks inside of any given notebook. I've chosen one of our resource pages as a source, but normally what you will have is your sources loaded here. Those sources can be a PDF of an article, the link to an article that is freely accessible online. So the tool can actually read it and see it, and all of them will be listed here. Today, I'm not gonna address how to search for more sources. That's part of the basic package of NotebookLM, which they have improved in the last year a lot. This is the chat section. This is where you can interact directly with the sources and ask questions about it. This is also something that we've addressed for students using a notebook that you've shared. This is the studio, and this is what we're gonna be dealing with today. For some of the things in the studio, because it's not that they take a long time, it's just that it will take a long time for a presentation like this, for a 30-minute presentation. I have already pre-generated some things to show you after we talk a little bit about what you can find there. So it's easier for me to show you the result instead of waiting 5 minutes, 3 minutes and a half, 10 minutes, depending on the. I will give you an estimate of more or less how much it could take on any given day. So in the studio, you start by choosing which kind of element you want to generate. If you just click on the box, it generates it on the standard default, no prompting. So if I click audio overview, it will generate me an overview for scaffolding of effective learning in the health sciences. The default audio overview will be a podcast style, 2 hosts. You may have heard some of our TLC to go episodes, which are made for each one of our resource pages. That's exactly what we use there with some prompting. But if you want to start by prompting and making selections, you click on the icon for the pen, which is the editing. And this is what the custom audio overview is going to now give you as options. This used to be a one option fits all with some prompting. Now they have made some elements here for you to choose from. So you can do a deep dive, which is the traditional one, 2 hosts, going back and forth. You can do a brief, which is bite-sized, just introduction overview of the topic. You can do a critique, which is one expert review of the sources and giving constructive feedback to improve the material. If that's material that you've used, if it's your material, it can actually be useful to you to actually hear about it. And a debate is actually 2 hosts that are using a debate format. It's much more formal than the deep dive. It's less flashy, less fast pace as that one is. In the customization area, it's going to allow you to do a short, default, or long. So if you want more to be on the long side because you want a deeper expansion of the topics, etc., it's going to help you to do on the long side. The default is going to be different for each one of them. You can also put some constraints on the duration, on the what should the AI focus on this episode, which is your place to prompt the engine what to look for, what to focus on. So normally I will tell you that for our TLC episodes, we enter here a prompt that introduces talking a little bit about that this is a resource from the TLC that addresses an audience of faculty in the health sciences, to follow the three parts of each one of our resources, why we use this strategy, what are the support for it, what are the tips, the teaching tips, and what other resources can you look at after you've looked into our resource. So we guide it to help us out with that. And normally we keep it between 10 and 15 minutes. That's our window to keep the podcast done. So once you've done all these, you will click generate. And once you've made your decisions, and you will go here and you will have, it will generate a podcast, of this size will take approximately between 5 to 10 minutes to generate, and has to put a lot of things together. The content, it does it fast, but it's the voices and the coordination of those things. And you're going to be able to listen to it right away here. It has a couple of features that are interesting. So you can download it as a M4A audio compressed codec. You can share it by having the share options of your notebook open to anybody that has the link. And it has an interactive feature that for now, it's only available on the audio overview. This interactive mode means that you can be listening here in NotebookLM, and you can at some point say, I want to interact. You want to ask something about what just was said, and the engine will respond to you and then continue with the audio overview. This is very useful if you want to actually provide a space for students to explore these, but also if you're listening about a research audio overview that you made for yourself, and you can actually do that. But I'm interested today on that it can generate that type of audio overview that then you can use in one of your courses as either presenting a debate versus presenting a very engaging, fast-paced way to cover some of the content. One more thing, before you generate any of these things in the studio, you can select the sources you want to generate over. So I only have one source because it's a very well-curated source and it contains a lot of content there. But if you had 3 PDFs here and you want to generate an audio overview of only 2 of them, because they address part of what you want to address with that, you will just select that on there, and it will only generate the audio overview over those 2 sources. You will always know how many sources were used to generate it. The video overview is a similar one. The video overview will, again, open for you some options. On the free version, you only have the explainer video, and you only have the option to add a prompt down here to kind of like let the engine know what your focus is. So again, if you do a topic on pedagogy, but you don't specify your audience, it may do it for a wide audience of educators. So you may have a lot of images of children in the classroom and things like that, but that's not my audience. So I will normally make sure to say target an audience of faculty in the health sciences, in higher education, and then it actually makes the images that it uses much more appropriate. In the paid version, you get a couple of things instead of one. You get also the option to do a brief, which is a quick bite-size between 1 minute and 2 video that summarizes whatever the topic is, and you can also prompt on that area. The explainer video is normally between 5 and 6 minutes long, so it keeps it to that duration. And on the paid version, you got the option to tell the tool to auto-select a style, to go with a very customized style where you can actually tell it, I want this visual style, and the engine will try the best to match that. I'm not very good at prompting visuals, so I stay away from that. And then you also have a number of styles, from the whiteboard style to more, fancy ones for teachers that want to keep their younger students engaged, the kawaii Japanese style, to watercolor, to retro, or even papercraft, which papercraft will be my favorite, the decision to make, but it's not appropriate all the time. So once you've done these and you've prompted it, you click generate. Videos is the element that probably will take the longest. The brief may take between 5-7 minutes to generate the video. The explainer video will take a little bit more. And I'm going to show you the video, although I'm not going to share audio to avoid creating a lot of noise. But I'm going to show you those two as examples that I already generated. So I have scaffolding here as a short, quick video that I can actually then either share or, sorry, I did it the wrong way. I can share or watch myself. So I can download and I can, like show that through that. This is the basic form in which the video will be done, and it has added all the visuals by itself, and I don't have editing way, and a quick editing way to do that. I don't have the skills, but I also will take me a long time to put together this 2-minute video with a voiceover, even recording myself, etc. So this is the short 1.5 minutes without much prompting, and the other one is the longer video that you will see that has a little bit more content. So, and I'm gonna make it. There you go. So this is a longer video. This is 5.5 minutes, and it kind of like the only prompting that I use here was telling the tool to present these for an audience of faculty in the health sciences. These I made some choices. So for example, I use the papercraft style on the background. So a lot of these is made like if it was paper figures, and it's done a little bit more in-depth breaking down of the content. It also gives me a chance to actually listen through the whole video, make sure that that content is appropriate and accurate. And if not, I can always regenerate it and modify my prompting to avoid some of the issues that I may have observed. So this is what the video will help you do on the studio. The third element here is the mind map. The mind map is the one that you are more limited in using. It creates it unprompted. You cannot tell it to create a mind map of these things. It just creates a mind map of the sources you tell it to create it. So the only control you have is to choose from your sources which ones do you want the mind map to be about. It's also not easily shareable. Sorry, not easily downloadable. I'm going to show you in a second. So I ask it to create a mind map. It's very useful for me to explore here. And if you want to give it to your students, I would recommend share your notebook so they can actually come and explore the mind map as it, like as it has been generated. It allows to explore here. I can click each one of these things and it will take me to the chat and it will show me what the sources have to say about each one of these things. So it is very, very good for the exploration of the topic. I can download it on its current view as a PNG, but if I want to download the whole displayed mind map, it will be a very tiny, things will be very tiny, will not be very useful to you to do so. So I would recommend not going that route. I would recommend using these when you want your students to explore the topic and you're using it to share it with them. But it is the one thing that you don't get to prompt at all. It just considers what the topic is based on the source or sources, and it breaks it down by itself. So the reports it's expanded from just one report to actually in the beginning. We were able only to do a briefing doc or a study guide in the very beginning. They've expanded it to create your own, where you can actually do a lot of prompting. So you can create a full prompt here and tell it what you want that brief document, that report to be. The briefing doc is the general overview of what the sources that you select are, and basically big insights, big quotes, and things that can be referred back to the sources as well. A study guide is, short for maybe for a quiz preparation. This is more on the student side. I will generate study guides if I want the study guide to be very specific, and then give it to my student. A blog post is a very, very interesting pre-generated prompt. So this is a pre-generate prompt. And what I do normally is actually keep this language and change some of the things. So, I can say do all these, but then do it for an audience of faculty in the health sciences, which is my audience. So it allows for me to keep the strength of this prompt, but target an audience and maybe some specific things that I want to bring up in this topic. When you click on this, what you get, and then this suggested format, it changes depending on the content. The tool tells you other things that could be done, right? Like teaching technique summary or a best practices guide, which I can actually see as one thing that I may want to generate. Once you generate it, what you get on your studio is the actual document, but you get it as text here, right? You can copy the whole text and then paste it on a document, or you can actually download it. Depending on what you need, you can download it as a PDF document. Sorry, those are the slides. You can download it as a doc or as an Excel type of file. So it's either you export to documents or you export to sheets. Because this is connected with Google, it will go straight to your drive if you want to, or you can download it as a generic document, text document. It doesn't have a lot of edit or formatting elements, so you can actually then format your document and use it. But I generated a blog post for these, and the language is very blog post-like. So, I can then download these and then modify things that I want. But, it's very, about kind of like catching the attention, but still dealing with the elements that are foundational, And if I generate other kind of document that I may need, like, for example, the best practices guide is a little bit more formal in how it addresses the language, how it breaks it down. So it is a very, very good, solid work of the text. In the end, StudioLM is a large language model. The best thing they do is language. Although after I show you some things today, you may think that's not true. So we're going to continue going. Two elements that are very interesting that are added here are the flashcards. Flashcards and the quiz cannot be downloaded. But if you share this notebook with your students, they can come in and they can use the flashcards for practice and the quizzes as well. Why will I generate that for my students is because I want to actually make sure that I can help them scaffold their practice. And this is one thing that the flashcards and the quiz do in the same way. So both for flashcards and the quizzes, you can control several things. In addition to prompt, what is your main focus? You can actually select how many flashcards from fewer, which will be around 10, 12. Standard will be between 23, 25, and then more will end up being all the way up to 50 flashcards. And then you can control the level of difficulty that those flashcards address. And here in the prompting, you can actually decide, I want the focus for this set of flashcards to be on this versus, a different area that you're going to address later. And then you can tell your students, try the level 1, level 2, level 3, for easy, medium, and hard. So you can actually scaffold your practice and you can go from general concepts with the easy, fewer ones to more granular knowledge and content in the hard ones, with more to practice there. So I can help them scaffold their practice. The same thing I can do with the quiz. I can actually just create a quiz that addresses fewer level of questions, a default level of questions or more questions, going from 10 questions to 20, 25. And it helps them do that. So because you cannot download it, this is content you can generate, but you can only share it from the notebook. And I like that because also it doesn't become an issue of, students are using these to download it and use it to study it only as that option. I get to control flashcards on the level 1, level 2, level 3, then take the quiz for level 1, level 2, level 3, and I can help them scaffold their practice if that's the route that I need to take. Flashcards and quizzes are the ones that take less time to generate. You may have it under a minute. You may be able to actually review it, and within 10 minutes, you have a whole set that it's ready to go. So that would be another thing for you to consider is this is very low-hanging fruit when it comes to provide content for your students that they can use right away. For the data table, which is the last one that it's available on the free version as well, You again have very little customization in both the paid and the non-paid versions, but you can actually tell it, what do you want in the columns? I want you to extract this information, and I want it in table format, and I want the columns to address things like author or date or what's the main content there. I'm going to show you what I generated from this topic on, and basically I'm going to expand these. So this is the table that it generated from my source. It basically I said address think about an audience of faculty in the health sciences that are learning about scaffolding, and basically it generated what are the key finding or strategy that can be found in the source. What is the description for that quickly? What is the theoretical basis or educational benefit? Why we bring it up? The implementation tips that are attached to that from the source, and which source, comes it from. And I can always go back to that source if I have multiple sources and check that that is true. So imagine also being able to, generate things like collapsing the data and showing up, as that. So it's a new one. I think that they're still toying with that. They probably will give it more customization elements as we go. The last two things that I want to show you are the flashiest, and I'm going to be very fast through them. But the new versions have added infographic generation and slide deck. The infographics, I'm going to show you the 3 layers, but it's going to allow for you to make choices about it. Same thing. You go in and you're going to have 3 levels of detail. Concise is going to be a smaller infographic, focusing on the big things, on the big elements. The standard is going to address, an infographic that gives you a good overview, and then the detail is still being tested, but it basically gives you a very precise, very expansive kind of overview, and you can actually make some choices visually. I try to not stay on that. You can also choose landscape, portrait, or square for the orientation. So there's a level of customization here. It may take 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the complexity of the topic. So I'm going to show you the concise one. So this is what it did about scaffolding. This is a short, quick, to the point, not a lot of graphic work on it, but enough to make it visually appealing, at least. This is what it did when I asked it to do a standard one. So you're going to see that there's more here. There's also different visual choices. There's more here for your students to explore as well, and for you to use in a presentation to explore there. And I'm going to show you what it did when I ask for a detailed one. And this is the one that we generated and we used to accompany our podcast on this resource. So this is a much expensive one, much more complete. It also graphically has made a lot of choices here that are complex. A caution about the infographics: the more detailed the infographic, the more chances that there are some misspellings there, because the amount of processing that it takes to generate one of these is a lot. So there are ways to do edits to a PNG, but they are not easy. So I'll just put that out there, that while this tool continues to evolve, it may make small mistakes, and you should tell your students that there may be some, mistakes. I normally go and edit them myself, but I will not wish some of the pain for that to everybody. It still takes me 10 times less of the time and 100 times less skill that it will take me to do one of these. So I will never come to do this approach if I didn't have this amount of assistance, to be honest with you. The last one, it's going to be quick, but it's the flashiest. So just giving you a heads up. This is what it did when I asked it to generate slides for me. And again, I targeted an audience of faculty on the health sciences. So it generated slides that cover more of the content. So there's more slides. There's a lot of more graphics trying to address each one of the topics. But there's a lot of content here and a lot of more slides than I will normally generate. But all this work was generated by the tool using my source and the prompting. And the prompting in this case was not a lot. It does a lot of good use of icons. It even added these partner with the TLC option, and you can download it. So this was my prompt. So you know that it was not, I'm selling you a thing that it doesn't do a lot of work for us with a lot of precision. I only prompted the audience, which is my main audience. You can download it as a PDF, not as a slides, for Microsoft PowerPoint, but you can edit a PDF without Adobe tools. So like you still could edit enough to make it useful. I'm gonna finish with the presenter slides because one of the options is either a detailed presentation or presenter slides. These are the ones that I will generate if I'm gonna do a workshop on the topic. Um, these kind of like impressed both Antoine, which is my colleague here at the TLC. He's a graphic designer. He's also a media specialist, and this was like absolutely breathtaking when we saw it. This is very decent, very, very decent content, and I could use these tomorrow if I need to give a workshop on the topic, maybe taking one slide out and adding a couple of things. So this is NotebookLM for content generation. I'm going to stop sharing now and I'm going to go back for closing. Quick tips for you at the end. Basically, definitely curate your sources. Most definitely be very intentional about what is the learning value of this content. Some of it is very flashy, I know, but in the prompting is where you're going to have the opportunity to make the content what it needs to be for your teaching needs. And basically be mindful of the sharing options. Can you download the content and do you need it downloadable versus you can share those elements that are shareable and share the notebook in that case. Check for errors, sorry, always, and inaccuracies, always evaluate everything that's generated and refine your prompts. Once you get something and you're like, this could be better, refine your prompt and see what it does. Play with it. I think it's going to be a good thing for you all. Give us feedback. I will also send you a follow-up email with with a link to our feedback so you can actually provide it if you don't get the chance to do it now. And keep an eye on our sessions. They are every 2 weeks for the next couple of months. So we will have a lot of other topics coming in. And if you have questions about it, just reach out. Especially in these times, there's so many tools out there that we don't get to all of them. And if we haven't got to evaluate it, we will actually do that with you. So have fun trying these tools. Hopefully you find something useful and have a great day. Thank you for joining us today.